The city of Syndralis had long been buried under vines, dust, and silence. Once the capital of the 12 Suns Empire, now it stood forgotten, hidden by the jungle and feared by every species that remembered what had happened there. No one went near the ruins. It was cursed, they said, not by magic but by something worse, truth. And deep in the center of that dead city sat a glass chamber that had not been opened for 200 years. Elias had not come looking for legends. He was a scavenger, born after the wars, raised by maps and radiation sensors. He had heard whispers of lost tech buried in Syndralis. He didn't care for stories. He cared for credits. But as he pushed through the wet leaves and collapsed towers, he felt it. That silence. Not the silence of emptiness, but the silence of something waiting. He found the chamber half buried under broken stone. It was shaped like a dome and shimmered with a strange light even in the rain. Its surface was cracked but solid. Vines coiled around it like hands refusing to let go. And inside, sitting still as a statue, was the girl. She wasn't human. Blue skin, faint glowing lines across her arms and legs, and long dark hair that rested across her shoulders. Her feet were chained, her arms lightly bound. But the strangest thing was her eyes, or rather the cloth wrapped over them. A blindfold, old and dusty, tied so carefully that it seemed no one had dared remove it. Elias tapped the glass. Nothing. The girl didn't move. She wasn't breathing. Or maybe she was, but so softly it didn't show. He felt something heavy in his chest, not fear. Not yet, just wait. He should have left. He should have logged the coordinates, taken a photo, and sold the location to one of the deep tech buyers in the outer rings. But he didn't. Something about her made him stop thinking like a scavenger. He found a gap in the glass, just wide enough to squeeze through if he pried the edge. It took time. His fingers bled. The rain made everything slippery. But he got in. Inside the chamber, the air was warm, almost dry. The light came from the floor, soft, breathing. He stood over the girl, unsure what to do. She still didn't move, but now he could see her chest rising. Barely. He reached forward and touched her wrist. Her skin was warm, too warm. Then her hand grabbed his. She didn't speak. Her grip wasn't strong, but it wasn't weak either. He looked at her face, at the cloth across her eyes. Her lips were slightly parted, but she made no sound. He whispered, "What happened to you?" No answer. The chains didn't rattle. The chamber didn't creak. Only the sound of rain hitting the outside dome. And then, without knowing why, Elias reached up and took the edge of the blindfold. He hesitated. Every old warning screamed in his head. The stories said the girl with the blindfold had destroyed armies just by looking. The elders said her gaze could bend time. That's why they covered her eyes. That's why no one dared lift the cloth, not even the emperors who once ruled over the stars. But she was just a girl. He pulled the cloth away. And the moment he did, Elias froze. His body locked. His breath caught. His eyes widened. Because what he saw wasn't just eyes, it was something else, something impossible, something the universe had buried for 200 years. Elias didn't move. He couldn't. His hand still held the blindfold, but his fingers had gone numb. His eyes were locked on hers. But they weren't normal eyes. They weren't even like any alien's eyes he had ever seen before. Her irises looked like stars. Real stars moving inside a black void. Each blink shimmered like a galaxy collapsing inward. And in the very center of both eyes there was something ancient, something alive. He wanted to speak, but no sound came out. The girl blinked slowly. A soft pulse of light pushed out from her chest like a breath of wind. The cracked dome began to vibrate. Chains rattled. The vines outside twitched. Elias felt it inside his bones, like gravity had shifted just slightly toward her. She tilted her head. "Not curious, not afraid, calm. You're awake," Elias finally whispered. Her lips moved, but the voice came into his mind, not through sound but thought. "You removed it." "Why?" He blinked. I had to know. You were trapped. I thought you needed help. I was not trapped. I was contained." Her gaze held his, and Elias had the strange feeling that time itself was slowing around her. His body had returned to normal. He could move again. But he didn't want to, not with those eyes watching him. Outside, the rain hit harder. The jungle roared as if stirred from sleep. The chamber's lights flickered and the cracks in the dome spread. One long crack ran right above their heads. "What are you?" Elias asked softly. I was born before your wars. Before your kind reached the stars, she said. Her voice in his head was clear now, like a melody from a forgotten dream. I was sealed away when the universe turned against itself. Her chains broke with a loud snap. Elias jumped back. The girl didn't flinch. The metal links fell from her wrists and ankles like dried leaves falling from a tree. She stood slowly, her bare feet touching the glowing floor. She wasn't tall, but her presence filled the space around her. Her skin glowed brighter with each breath. Your kind is not ready, she said. Ready for what? She looked up at the dome. The rain outside had stopped falling, frozen midair. Elias saw each droplet hanging, unmoving, as if time had paused. He felt a pressure in his ears. Something beyond him was happening, and it centered on her. They made me blind to protect the stars, she said. Because when I see, I remember. The chamber groaned. The books Elias had brought were now floating slightly off the ground. A soft hum filled the air, deep and steady. Elias took a step forward. I don't think you're a weapon. I think they were afraid of you. She finally turned her full face to him. They were right to be afraid. In a flash, the dome shattered into thousands of pieces. But the glass didn't fall. Each shard floated, suspended in the air like crystal leaves. Elias stared up, waiting for the pieces to cut him, but they just stayed there, spinning slowly, harmlessly. The vines outside burned away without fire. The jungle went silent. She walked past Elias toward the opening. The world outside was frozen, a painting of rain and motionless leaves. She turned once more. You looked at me. You freed me. Now you must walk with me, because they will come. Elias frowned. Who? She raised her hand. A small pulse flickered in her palm, and in that light he saw planets burning, stars falling, ships fleeing. The ones who remember me, the ones who still fear me, the ones who locked me away. Elias followed her out of the shattered dome. The moment her bare feet touched the wet jungle soil, the rain started again, but this time it didn't touch her. Each drop curved away as if the air around her whispered a command. The forest that once felt wild now felt still, waiting. She walked with purpose, not rushing, not slowing. Elias kept close behind. He didn't know why he wasn't running away. Maybe it was the way she moved, calm, graceful, powerful. Maybe it was because she had spoken to him, not with anger, but with something else. Sadness. Or maybe curiosity. What should I call you? He asked as they moved deeper into the forest. She paused and looked at him. Your kind once called me Solari. He nodded. Solari. I'm Elias. A soft smile touched her lips, but it faded quickly. Why were you locked away? Elias asked, stepping over roots and broken stone. Because I saw too much, she said. I was created to see the future. But when I spoke of what was coming, they grew afraid. They blinded me, hoping silence would save them. Elias stopped walking. So they blindfolded you to stop your visions? She turned to face him. No, to stop my eyes. My visions were not in my mind. They were in my gaze. When I opened my eyes, the future bent toward me. The present broke. They feared I would collapse time. He swallowed hard. And can you? She didn't answer. Instead, she lifted a hand and pointed toward the sky. Through the trees, the clouds began to part. Not slowly, not naturally, as if the sky had been pushed open like a door. A massive shadow moved behind the clouds, long, sharp, and silent. What is that? Elias whispered. The ones who locked me away, Solari said softly. They never left. They watched this world from far above, and now they know I'm free. The shadow passed, but the clouds didn't return. The sky remained open, strange stars blinking through like eyes peering down. They will send others, she said. Hunters, weapons, they cannot let me remain unbound. Elias looked around. The forest felt wrong now, too quiet, too still. Then we need to leave, he said. I have a ship. It's not much, but it flies. We can get off this planet. No, she said. If I leave now, they will destroy this world. He stepped closer, lowering his voice. Then what do we do? She looked at him. We make them see. Before he could ask what that meant, the trees around them trembled. A pulse echoed through the air. The ground cracked beneath their feet. From the sky, something fell. Fast. Metal. Glowing red. Elias grabbed her arm and pulled her back as the object slammed into the ground ahead of them. Dust shot into the air. The trees around it burned black. When the dust cleared, a tall figure stepped out of the crater. It wore silver armor, glowing with green lines. Its face was hidden behind a smooth helmet. It turned its head toward Solari. She didn't move. The figure raised its arm. A weapon formed out of thin air. Elias stepped in front of her. "What are you doing?" she asked softly. "I don't know," he said. "But if they want you, they'll have to go through me first." The weapon fired. Elias saw the beam coming, but then everything stopped literally. Time froze again, and Solari raised her. Hand of time stood still. The blast from the armored figure hovered in the air like frozen fire, inches from Elias's chest. He didn't blink. Couldn't. His body was frozen in place, caught mid-breath, arms out as if he could block the shot. But he felt something move behind him. Warmth, light, like the sun had opened its eyes behind his back. Solari stepped forward. Her glowing blue skin pulsed softly, lines of light running like rivers across her arms. She didn't look at the assassin. She looked at Elias, still frozen. "You are not meant to carry my burden," she whispered. She touched his shoulder. Instantly his body relaxed. The breath returned to his lungs and he stumbled slightly as time restarted. But only for him and her. Everything else, the trees, the rain, the attacker, remained suspended in a world that no longer obeyed the rules. Elias turned, eyes wide. "You stopped. Everything?" "No," she said gently. "I bent time around us." He looked at her, truly seeing her now. She didn't just glow. She shimmered like she was made of memories and starlight. Her hair floated slightly, as if the gravity around her was lighter. The forest behind her looked distant, like it belonged to another time. "What are you going to do to him?" Elias asked, nodding at the frozen attacker. "I could erase him," she said, "or send him back through time over and over until he forgets why he came." Elias stared. "Then do it. He tried to kill us." She stepped toward the figure, tilting her head. "That's what they expect me to do," she said quietly. "Destroy. Rewrite. Burn the path behind me." She reached toward the attacker's helmet. Her fingers hovered just above the surface. "But I was never made to destroy," she whispered. "I was made to see." She touched the helmet. In a burst of golden light, the armored attacker began to tremble. Still frozen but flickering like a glitch in reality, visions exploded around him, memories pulled from his mind. Elias saw images flashing through the air, stars burning, fleets falling, a planet torn in half, and finally, Solari herself standing alone, chained beneath the stars. "They trained him to hate me," she said. "They filled his mind with lies. I gave him the truth." The light faded. The armored figure dropped to the ground. Time resumed for him. He coughed, gasping, crawling back. His weapon was gone. He looked up at Solari in terror. I remember now," he said hoarsely. You weren't the destroyer. You warned us." Solari looked down at him. "And your people silenced me." "I was told you would end the galaxy," he muttered, still trembling. "But we ended it ourselves." She said nothing. Just watched him with eyes that saw far beyond the present moment. Elias stepped beside her. "What now?" The man looked at them both. "Others are coming, ships more like me. They won't listen. They'll destroy everything just to stop you." Solari turned to Elias. "Then we can't run. We show them. We make them see." "How?" She raised her hand again and a swirl of stars appeared above her palm. "By unlocking what they feared most," she said. "The memory hidden inside me." Elias stared at the stars. They weren't illusions. They were real. A piece of the galaxy alive in her hands. And as they floated above them, one thing became clear. She wasn't just an alien girl. She was something else entirely. A key, a warning, a living map to something buried and long forgotten. The stars above Solari's hand floated like dust in a sunbeam. But Elias could feel it. They weren't just lights. They were locations, real places. He stepped closer, squinting at the small moving shapes. Some stars pulsed red. Others glowed soft blue. He didn't understand them, but something inside him said this map mattered more than anything he'd ever found. "What are they?" he asked. "Coordinates," Solari said. "They lead to what remains of the celestial vault." Elias frowned. "What's that?" "The place where the architects buried their final vision," she replied. "Before they vanished, they stored everything, knowledge, power, warnings. I saw it once, long ago, before they sealed my eyes, before they feared what I remembered." Elias pointed at the largest glowing star. "Is that where we need to go?" Solari looked at him, her glowing eyes softer now. "Yes, but it won't be easy." The fallen soldier behind them had not run. He sat in silence, head low. His armor hissed softly as it shut down. "You won't get far," he said quietly. "The Concordance has already sent a Seer killer fleet. They're tracking her signature now." "Then we need to move fast," Elias replied. He led Solari through the jungle. His ship wasn't far, an old cargo hauler hidden beneath a net of vines and leaves. It wasn't fast, but it had gotten him through storm belts and asteroid fields. When they reached the ship, he rushed to open the hatch. Solari paused outside and looked up at the sky. "3 ships are already in orbit," she whispered. "More will follow." Elias powered up the engines. "Let's not wait for the welcome party." Inside, the cockpit buzzed to life. The ship trembled as it came online, old systems blinking with protest. Solari sat quietly in the co-pilot's seat, her fingers brushing the controls like she remembered them, even though she'd never flown this model before. "How do you know so much?" Elias asked. She didn't look at him. "Because I was not born. I was designed, a living vault to store visions of what should never happen." Elias glanced at her. "Then why bury you?" "Because when I warned them, they saw not danger but power. They wanted to control time. When I refused, they feared what else I might remember." The engines roared. The ship lifted off, punching through the clouds. As they left the atmosphere, Elias saw the shadows of the enemy ships above, sleek black vessels shaped like blades. They hadn't fired yet, but their presence was a message. "We see you. You cannot hide." Solari pressed her hand to the navigation screen. The floating star map reappeared, and one of the glowing dots pulsed brighter than the others. "Take us here," she said. "Jumping coordinates set," Elias muttered. "This better not be a trap." "It is," Solari said calmly. "But it's our only chance." The ship shuddered as it prepared for light jump. Alarms flashed. Something was locking onto them. The Concordance fleet had activated weapons. A countdown started. "Jump in 5, 4, the comm crackled. A voice deep and metallic echoed through the speakers. "This is Concordance Command. Power down. Return the anomaly. You have 10 seconds before termination." Elias looked at Solari. She didn't blink. She whispered something under her breath. A single word in a language Elias didn't understand. And suddenly the entire star map burst into brilliant light. The ship vanished into the jump stream. Behind them, the sky tore open. And what followed wasn't just pursuit. It was the awakening of a memory the galaxy tried to bury. The jump stream closed behind them, and the silence that followed was heavy. Elias looked out the window, expecting stars. There were none, just darkness. No constellations, no glow, no sense of direction. He leaned forward. "Is this space?" "Where are we?" Solari didn't answer. She stood, her fingers brushing the edge of the glass. Her eyes glowed brighter now, pulsing slowly with deep gold light. "This is the place between places," she said softly. "A forgotten fold in space. Only the architects knew how to find it." Elias checked the instruments. Everything was confused. Coordinates spun without stopping. Gravity levels flickered. Time sensors ticked backward. "Why would they hide a vault here?" he asked. "Because memory is dangerous," she said. "And this vault doesn't just hold data. It holds emotion, truth, regret." As she spoke, something began to form outside the ship. Not a planet, not a station, something older. A colossal ring floating in the void, built from silver and obsidian. It wasn't spinning, yet it gave off movement. In its center was a glowing tear in space, shaped like an eye. "The Vault of Echoes," Solari whispered. "It remembers everything ever seen." Elias felt the hairs on his arms rise. The ship drifted toward the ring without being pulled. It was like the vault wanted them to arrive. The eye at the center widened. Suddenly, Elias saw something flash across the viewport. A memory. Not his own. A dying star. A planet cracking. A woman screaming in a ruined city. Blindfolded. He gasped and turned to Solari. "Was that you?" She nodded. "This place feeds on what we bring. It reflects our truths." The ship slid gently into the heart of the ring. The glow outside dimmed. Then, without warning, the engines shut down. Everything went still. Solari stood and walked toward the back of the ship. A hatch opened on its own. A staircase formed beyond it, descending into lightless air. "You don't have to come with me," she said. Elias stood. "Yes, I do." They walked together into the vault. Inside, there were no walls, only memories. Giant floating fragments of time drifted past them. Some showed wars. Others showed peace. Some showed Elias himself as a child, scraping through junkyards, Others showed Solari before the blindfold, laughing with a people who no longer existed. It shows what matters, she said. Not what's recorded, but what's remembered. Elias watched a vision of himself kneeling by a broken engine years ago, scared, alone. His hands had bled that day. No one remembered it. No one should have. But the vault had it. Why does it want us here? He asked. To give us a choice, she said. Suddenly, a voice echoed all around them. It was deep, layered, like hundreds speaking at once. You are the key. You are the witness. Are you ready to see? Solari looked at Elias. He nodded slowly. She stepped into a circle of light that formed at her feet. Her body lifted an inch off the ground. The light moved up her skin like threads being stitched through her. Her eyes closed. When they opened, they were no longer just glowing, they were burning. And the vault responded. The floating memories stopped. Then turned. All at once. Every single image pointed toward her. Elias took a step back. What's happening? She's awakening, the voice said. And so is the truth. The vault lit up like a living sun. Every memory, every vision, every echo of the past turned to face Solari. And for the first time in 2 centuries, she looked back at them all, with eyes no longer hidden, no longer blind. Elias stood just outside the circle of light. His heart pounded. He felt like he was watching something sacred. Or dangerous. Or both. The voice of the vault echoed once more. She is not just the witness. She is the record. The last truth that could not be rewritten. Elias looked around as the floating memories merged into a single massive vision. It showed a world Elias didn't recognize. A great city in the clouds with towers of glass, golden bridges, and creatures from hundreds of species walking side by side in peace. At the heart of it stood Solari, taller, stronger, crowned in silver light. She was speaking to a gathering of leaders. Some were alien, some looked almost human. All of them listened, and then all of them turned away. What is this? Elias asked quietly. Solari spoke without turning. It was the day of warning. The memory shifted. Now it showed the same city burning. Ships fell from the sky. Mountains split. Oceans boiled. I told them the future I saw, she said. They said it was madness. They said it would break unity. But I saw it clearly. The image sharpened. A fleet of ships with the concordance emblem opened fire on the city. The same people who claimed to keep peace were the ones destroying it. They started the war, Elias whispered. Solari nodded. And they needed someone to blame. The next memory burned hotter. Solari was chained in front of a crowd. Her eyes were already covered. The leaders spoke lies, calling her unstable, dangerous, a threat to reality. Then they sealed her in the chamber beneath Centralis. They were afraid of what I saw, she said, because if others believed me, the concordance would fall. Elias clenched his fists. So they erased the truth, turned you into a myth. And anyone who questioned it vanished, she finished. The memories darkened. Fleets vanished. Civilizations crumbled. Species disappeared. The concordance kept growing, claiming it was saving the galaxy, while silencing any who remembered what really happened. And now? Elias asked. Why did the vault call you back? Because it knows, Solari said. The vision I gave them was not just about the past. It was about the end. Their end. The vault pulsed again. The seer has remembered. The reckoning begins. Elias felt the ship tremble above them. Lights flickered. Something outside the vault had changed. Solari turned to him. The concordance followed us here. A cold voice rang out from beyond the vault. You were warned. You were sealed. And yet here you stand. Elias looked around. They're broadcasting into the vault? No, she said. They're inside. Out of the darkness, metal steps echoed. 3 tall figures in black armor stepped forward. They didn't carry weapons, they were weapons. Their bodies shimmered with anti-light, void tech that could bend space. The one in front looked directly at Solari. We've come to erase the last echo. Solari stepped from the light. But this time, Elias stepped forward with her. No, he said. You came to bury the truth. But now the galaxy will hear it. The armored figure tilted its head. You are only human. Elias stared him down. I was, until I saw her eyes. The 3 armored figures stepped into the vault of echoes like shadows swallowing light. They moved without sound, but the vault felt their presence. The air thickened. The floating memories slowed and pulled away as if trying to hide. Solari stood tall, her eyes glowing with deep fire. She didn't blink. She didn't flinch. She had seen this moment once, long ago, when time had whispered to her through her visions. But it felt different now. This time, Elias was standing beside her. The lead soldier's voice echoed coldly. "Step away from the vault, Seer, or be erased." Elias took a slow step forward. "You're scared of her. That's why you locked her away. That's why you chase her now. But it's too late." "We've seen the truth." The armored figure raised its hand, not to fire, but to release something. A black orb floated out of his palm and hovered mid-air. It began to spin faster and faster until it cracked open with a soundless pulse. The memories in the vault started to flicker and fade. One by one, the echoes vanished, erased. "They're deleting the past," Elias shouted. Solari's voice rang like a bell. "You can't delete what is still alive." She stepped into the path of the orb. Her body lit up. Every glowing line across her skin flared bright. Her eyes reflected 1,000 lives. The orb cracked again, but this time it shook. The vault responded. The floating visions came back faster, brighter. Some turned into shapes, weapons of light, wings of thought, ancient knowledge woven into armor. The vault was fighting back. Elias turned as 2 more attackers came from the sides. He wasn't a soldier. He had no weapon. But the vault gave him one. A beam of memory formed in his hand. A spear made of the first engine he ever fixed, the tears of his mother, and the stars he had stared at as a child. It pulsed with every moment that had made him who he was. He didn't hesitate. He charged. The impact shook the chamber. Solari faced the lead attacker, her voice steady. "You erased cities, burned histories. You turned truth into silence. But I am still here. I remember." The attacker fired a stream of void energy. It hit Solari, but instead of falling, she absorbed it. The blackness twisted in the air, turning gold as it wrapped around her. "You were made to destroy," the soldier said. "I was made to see," she answered. She raised both hands, and the vault opened above them, wide and endless. A beam of pure memory shot down, engulfing the entire chamber. The soldiers screamed as their armor cracked. The vault showed them their own crimes, each lie they told, each truth they buried, the faces of those they silenced. Elias stood breathless, holding his glowing spear as the last attacker dropped to his knees. Solari's voice was soft now, almost kind. "Do you see it now?" The soldier nodded, barely able to speak. We were wrong. You forgot who you were," she said. "So I remembered for you." The vault's voice returned. "The seer's memory is restored. The truth lives again. The galaxy will feel it." Far above, stars began to shift. Across systems, people looked up as dreams they had forgotten returned in pieces. Paintings, songs, names they didn't know they knew. The memory war had begun, and Solari had just fired the first light. Across the galaxy, silence was breaking. Children on far planets began to dream of stars they had never seen. Artists painted shapes their hands did not remember learning. Soldiers paused mid-battle, their minds filled with strange voices whispering truth. The vault of echoes had opened, and every species, every mind, now felt the weight of what had been forgotten. The Concordance fleets were the first to react. Their command centers flickered. Artificial minds screamed in code. Archives unlocked themselves. Secrets buried for centuries flowed like broken dam water. Their greatest lie, that Solari was a weapon, was unraveling in the light of shared memory. On the vault, Elias stood beside Solari as the last of the armored soldiers disappeared into glowing dust. Not dead, not broken, rewritten. Each one had faced their truth, and some truths were too heavy to carry forward. Elias wiped sweat from his brow. He wasn't sure what part of him had fought. It wasn't strength. It wasn't skill. It was something deeper, something human. Solari was quiet now, still glowing but dimmer. Tired. "You did it," Elias said softly. "No," she whispered. "We only started." She raised her hand and the vault began to close. The stars returned to their places. The echoes settled. The ancient ring would rest again, but not in silence. "Where do we go now?" Elias asked. "We wait." "For what?" She looked up. "For who heard the truth and still chooses war?" Far above, a concordant supership broke through space. It was the size of a small moon, shaped like a spear pointed toward the heart of the vault. It had no crew. Only code, its only purpose, to erase. Solari stepped forward. They sent the obelisk, Elias frowned. What is it? The final command, she said. If I ever woke, if the truth ever got out, this ship will burn the vault, the memories, and us with it. Can we stop it? She didn't answer. The vault spoke again. This memory cannot survive alone. It must choose a bearer. Solari looked at Elias. It must be someone unshaped by the war, someone who lived in the shadow, but never believed the lies. Elias stared at her. You mean me? She nodded. You are the first to look into my eyes without fear. The vault formed a glowing thread between them. It pulsed like a heartbeat. If you accept, she said, you will carry every memory, every truth, every sorrow. You will never be the same. Elias looked up at the incoming obelisk. It moved faster now. Red light formed at its tip. He took a deep breath and stepped forward. The moment his hand touched hers, the light shot into his mind. A wave of images, some beautiful, some terrifying. He saw her whole life, her creation, her love, her betrayal, her silence, and her hope. When it ended, Elias dropped to his knees. Solari held him. You are now the echo bearer. He stood, glowing faintly. His eyes shimmered, not like hers, but bright with memory. What happens if I fall? He asked. Then all truth falls with you, she said. The obelisk charged its weapon. Solari looked up. Run? Elias asked. No, she said. We remember. She raised her arms. He raised his beside her. The vault opened one last time, and the final battle for memory began. The sky above the vault of echoes burned red. The obelisk charged its core. Rings of energy spun faster, brighter, hotter. The weapon was designed to erase utterly, completely, beyond even memory. Not just the vault, not just Solari. It would destroy the very idea that she ever existed. Solari and Elias stood at the center of the vault. The glowing threads of memory wrapped around them, binding human and seer in a bond no weapon could understand. The vault was no longer just a place. It was them now. It breathed with their hearts. It pulsed with their thoughts. Are you ready? Solari asked, her voice faint but calm. Elias's eyes still shimmered with echoes. He nodded. If this is what truth feels like, then yes. She placed a hand on his shoulder. Then remember, the obelisk fired. A beam of dark energy ripped through space, aimed at the vault, but it never reached them. Because the vault opened inward. Every memory, every vision, every truth, thousands of years' worth, rose around Elias like stars bursting from a collapsed sun. They wrapped around the beam, swallowing it, absorbing it, remembering it before it could erase. The weapon failed, not because it was weak, but because it could not destroy what was finally seen. The obelisk cracked. Its systems overloaded with feedback. Its own records, its lies, its orders, its betrayals, flashed back at it like a mirror it could not escape. The ship began to break apart. Piece by piece, the truth undid it. Solari fell to her knees. Elias caught her. You held it too long, she whispered. He helped her sit. It's over. We stopped it, she smiled softly. No, you did. Above them, the stars began to move again. The vault dimmed, no longer glowing like before. It had passed on its burden. Solari looked up at him. Her eyes no longer shimmered like galaxies. They were soft now. Human almost, like her purpose was complete. You gave the galaxy what I could not, she said. A second chance. Elias held her hand. Stay with me. We can rebuild. Together. She shook her head gently. My time ended 200 years ago. I was only waiting for someone strong enough, kind enough, to carry the light forward. He gripped her hand tighter. Solari, please. But her body was fading now, turning into starlight, dissolving into the very memory she had guarded for so long. She leaned close. And now I remember peace. With that, she was gone. No sound, no pain, just light. Elias stood in the center of the vault alone, but not empty. He turned toward the stars, and he spoke. The words came not from his mouth, but from every memory now carried in his soul. Across systems, screens flickered on. Every world, every people, every forgotten song returned. The story of the blindfolded girl, the one who saw too much, the one who warned them all, and the one who waited for a single human. Who would dare to see? Elias stepped onto his ship. The vault, now silent, closed behind him. He flew out into space, not to hide but to share, to carry her memory across the stars, to help others remember. Because he was no longer just a scavenger, he was the echo bearer. And the galaxy would never forget again